It should be live now. Okay, thank you for reminding. Let me share. Just a second. Share. So for the sake of the recorded information, let me ask this question again. A couple of people said, why are we going into all this depth? We have already finished the overview of Śaṅkara-bhāṣya, Ramanuja.org, and Madhya-bhāṣya. Why should we know verse by verse? Any thoughts from you? Any one of you? Hello?
I think
Can't hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, even though there is an overview, I think there will be more clarity if you go in depth.
Okay. Any other people?
At the end too, I would like to learn in-depth comparison as well as the meaning as well. Thank you.
This is like full meals.
Okay. That's breakfast and full meals, right? Okay, good. See, honestly, it has been a pleasure for me to learn more, because now I'm going word by word into Śaṅkara-bhāṣya or any other bhāṣya which we will be taking further, right? I'm going sentence by sentence and trying to analyze the whole thing. And to be honest with you, this is our, I would say, the grace of the Lord Shiva Narayana who is helping us to do this class. Because this kind of opportunity does not come up just like that. One may think that what is the big deal? If you work on it, you will get it. It's not true, because our lives, we have so many obstacles in our lives, so many changes, turns in our lives, and we will be put in situations where we cannot focus. And it's been a great grace of our acharyas and Srimad Narayana who is making this happen. That's what I think. You might ask why. The reason is, now I'm independently thinking about unique and minute aspects of these bhashyas, and that will give us a lot more clarity. It's giving me a lot more clarity, that's for sure. Okay, today we will go dig deep into the Śaṅkara-bhāṣya. Okay, share. No. I don't know what is happening here. Stop share. Now again, share the screen here, and now. Okay, now I know what's happening. 1 second. Okay, then we will go from the current slide. Yeah, now we are on lecture 139. See, 5 point, we have already finished some of the shlokas in 5th chapter. Now we are going on 5.8 and 5.9 bhashya, Śaṅkara-bhāṣya. The sage's actions are really no actions. That means the sage, the actions don't matter for him. Neither does he really do anything. He does not do consciously anything. Prārabdha may take him somewhere, but he does not do anything consciously. Let's talk about this in detail. Okay. Naiva kinchit karomi iti yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan shranvan sprishan jagran nashtan gachan swapan swashan pralapan vidrijan grandhan unminishan nimishan napi indriyanindriyarteshu vartanta iti dharayanne. How is this true? Okay, there's some mistakes here. I did not correct all the mistakes here. I'll correct it later. I do nothing at all. That is how the truth knower should think, right? Thus should the truth knower think. That's what I just copied just like that. Some of them I tried to edit. I didn't have so much time to edit. Okay, I've seen on an average, I'm not putting so much time on all these things because I'm trying to do a Ishavasya Upanishad course in the HUA. And now I'm preparing Ishavasya Upanishad just like this. I have to prepare much more seriously for a university. So the quality requirements are very high there. It's hard time for me. It's a lot of work, and some other classes also are coming up. So coming back here, the truth knower should think. If somebody knows the truth, that person should think constantly. Steadfast means very clearly that person should have a conviction, though he is seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, going, sleeping, breathing, speaking, letting go, that is giving up, or holding on to, seizing, opening and closing the eyes. Remembering that the senses move among the sense objects. The senses are distinct, they move among the sense objects. They work with the sense objects. They interact with the sense objects. Okay. The truth knower is he. The truth knower is he who knows the true nature of the self, who sees the supreme reality, Paramartha-darshi. In Śaṅkarācārya often mentions Paramartha-darshi. That is the truth knower. When and how should he think? And there is a small mistake here. So how should that person think? Intent on the truth. That is what is being focused on the truth. The answer given thus is, those seeing, etc. The duty of the person who, thus knowing the truth and thinking correctly, sees only inaction in actions, in all the movements of the body and senses, consists in renouncing of all actions, for he sees absence of action. The famous analogy given sometimes in couple of other chapters, a person who is inside a boat rowing and moving thinks that the trees are also moving. Trees on the bank are moving. It's not true. Similarly, that person sees inaction in the sense that inaction in the Ātman. And we will come a little bit deeper because there are some real issues here, actually, right? So we'll come deeper. 5.10 Bhāṣya, that means what did we do? 5.8 and 5.9, we will go deeper if we need to here. I didn't do a very good job of summarizing it here. Okay, next. So 5.10 Śaṅkara-bhāṣya, the person, for instance, who thinks of quenching his thirst in a mirage, mistaking it for water, will not, even after knowing that it is no water, resort to the same place for the purpose of quenching his thirst. What does it mean? Suppose somebody knows that there is once he sees a mirage and he says, oh, I'm so thirsty, I'm in a desert and I need water, and he rushes to the mirage and finally finds that there is no water in the mirage. Then he thinks, oh my God, I cannot drink anything from this mirage. There is no water here. So next time he sees a mirage, will not go to the same mirage, because he will not waste that energy to walk half a mile or something to get to that mirage. Similarly, the person, a jnani, knows that in Ātman there is no action, there is no kartatva, there is no jñātritva, there is nothing like that. So Brahman-yādāya-karmāni sangam tyaktva karoti lipyate nasapapena padma patram ivambhasa. Okay, here, this is for a karma yogi. Karma yogi is untainted by the results of action. But for the person who is not a truth knower, that is, he is not Paramartha-darshi, he is engaged in action. How should that person behave? So the translation of this verse, he who does actions offering them to Brahman, Brahman-yādāya-karmāni, abandoning or giving up attachment, sangam tyaktva, karoti who acts, lipyate nasapapena, he is not tainted by the sun, just like how a lotus leaf is not tainted by the water on it, water drops on it. He offers all actions to Ishvara with the faith that I act for Ishvara's sake, as a servant acts for a master. So actions are not because of selfishness here. Actions are because it's just an offering to Ishvara. And he does, so he is a karma yogi. In this particular verse, Śaṅkarācārya is explaining a karma yogi. That's what Śaṅkarācārya's commentary is. Brahman-yādāya-karmāni sangam tyaktva karoti lipyate nasapapena padma patram ivambhasa. So the person who acts without karma, sangha, that is without attachment to work or results. And it is brahmanyadaya, offering them to Brahman. If you look at it here, it is Brahman. So it is all actions are offered to Ishvara here actually, but Brahman is what is said here. We need to check on, he definitely, he offers all actions to Ishvara, because Ishvara is same as Brahman eventually for Śaṅkarācārya. That we need to understand. He has no attachment for the result, even for moksha. The results of action so done is only purity of the mind and nothing else. So one thing though, he has no interest even in moksha. This is very important. Oh, why is he doing karma yoga then? Why is he doing all this? One who, first of all, moksha should not be desired at all. This is very important, and that becomes a different, bigger subject. We'll take that up later. This is 511. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalayirindriyerapi yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atmashuddhaye. Kayena manasa buddhya, by body, my mind, and by intellect. BMI, I think, is coming straight here from this 511. The favorite, favorite word used by Swami Chinmayananda, BMI, Kayena manasa buddhya, kevalayirindriyerapi, and mere senses also. Yoginah karma kurvanti, yogis do work. Sangam tyaktva atmashuddhaye, giving up attachment for purity of Ātman. Ātman is always pure. Why should one purify Ātman here? So here say manashuddhi. He will say sattva-shuddhi eventually. Atma word is used for different targets. Atma can mean different things. Here Atma probably means mind, for purification of mind. Self, it is just said it as self here, it's translated as self here, it should be probably mind. We will see what Śaṅkara-bhāṣya says here. So mere, kevalaihi, that the word kevalaihi is used, mere, right? Free from egotism, that is, I am the doer and things, ego, without ego, with a firm faith that I act only for the sake of the Lord, not for my benefit. With this mere, that kevalaihi should be construed along with BMI, body, mind, and senses also. Body, mind, intellect, and senses. Each one of them, that is, mere body actions, all the actions connected with the body, all the actions actions which are thoughts connected with the mind, all the actions are interactions with senses and sense objects. Each one of them separately should have the property of no ego, no interest in the fruits, and as a dedication to the Lord, that it is that person is only acting for the sake of the Lord. Yogins are those who are devoted to works. These are the karma yogis, free from egotism in all their acts, without attachment for the results. They act only for the purification of the mind, that is sattva. Hence, as your duty lies only there, do only perform action. That means for a karma yogi, your duty is to perform action with this idea that you're only performing actions to please the Lord, for the sake of the Lord. Also because yukta karmapalam tyaktva shantim apnoti naishtikim ayuktaha kamakarena phale sattvo nipadyate. The study-minded one, yuktaha means study-minded one, totally focused, giving up the fruits of action, karmaphalam tyaktva, attains peace, shantim apnoti, naishtikim, born out of nishtha or devotion. So the person with a steady mind gives up the fruits of action and attains peace. The unsteady one, ayuktaha, attached to the fruit, kamakarena, because forced by the desires. This person is always attached to the fruits. Phale sakto nibadhyate. So phale means karma phala. So the fruits of action he is attached to, he or she is attached to. That person will be firmly bound. Nibadhyate. That is 5.12 Śaṅkara-bhāṣya. The steady-minded person who resolves that I do actions for the sake of the Lord and not for my benefit, gives up the fruits of actions and attains the peace called moksha as a result of devotion niṣṭhā. But this goes through the following stages. So directly a karma yogi will not attain moksha according to Śaṅkara-bhāṣya. But karma yogi will prepare initially for achievement of jnana, and then he will get moksha eventually. This verse directly I have taken these sentences I have taken from Śaṅkara-bhāṣya. This sentence is very important because he explains the stages. Citta-śuddhi. How does the Citta-śuddhi occur? Citta-śuddhi means purification of mind. If you don't have selfishness, your mind is pure. If you do all actions dedicated to the Lord, your mind will become pure. Citta-śuddhi, then you can get jnāna-prāpti. Jnāna-prāpti means knowledge of self. Self is shuddha, buddha, mukta. Self is actionless. Self is peaceful. Self is always released. Self is never bound. This jnana comes, jnana-prāpti. Sarva karma-sannyāsa. That person gives up all work. Putreshana, vitteshana, lokeshana will go away. That means the need for having children, putreshana, vitteshana, the need for having wealth here and hereafter. Lokeshana, for attaining other worlds like heaven, sarga, and things like that. All the desires will go away. Then that person will get jñāna-niṣṭhā. So jñāna-niṣṭhā is not complete. After jñāna-niṣṭhā, what happens? Some other stages are there in the future, explained in more like 18th chapter and things like that. But these are the initial stages for somebody to get jñāna-niṣṭhā or devotion to jnana. So it's first the purity of the mind, then attainment of knowledge, then renunciations of all actions, and lastly devotion to the knowledge. Once you attain knowledge, how can you get devotion to the knowledge? They are higher level knowledge. We can talk about it later. But the thing is, initially you need to know some fundamental things, and then you will go details, and then you will get jnana. But who is unsteady? That is, this is for a steady-minded person. Steady-minded person, he is dedicated, he is a karma yogi. But that's how he slowly, karma yogi, prepares to get moksha, and through stages gets moksha. But who is unsteady is led by desire. Kama preritaya ityartaha. Śaṅkarācārya explains that. Kama preritaya. So the thing is, desires are inbuilt. That will drive this person. The desires will not let this person sit quietly. Why am I wasting the time? I need to get this. Oh, this is so attractive. I can't live without this. And is attached to the fruit constantly, thinking, I do this act for my benefit. If I don't do this, I'm not going to get this benefit. I have to do it. That person is firmly bound. Phale sakto nibadhyate. He gets bound. Funny thing is, this bondage, there are no real ropes to bind this person. The ropes are unseen, unheard. The person will never know, even after being bound, that the person is really bound. The person thinks that the person is free to move anywhere, do whatever the person can do. But already the person will be bound with so many unseen shackles. Hence, you should be steady-minded. That's what the Lord is telling Arjuna, according to Śaṅkarācārya. But one who sees the Supreme Being, this previous verse refers to the person who does not see the Supreme Being, but the person is getting to get there, that is working to get there. That person has to go through Karma Yoga, then get Citta-śuddhi. So forget about the people who are Kama Prerita or who are driven by desires. They are constantly bound in this universe and they will never get out. They will do mistakes and they will lose the they will dhyayato vishyan pumsah sankaste pujteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate krodat bhavati sammohaha sammohat smriti vibramaha smriti vibramshat buddhinashaha buddhinashat pranashyati. This is said earlier by Lord Krishna. Eventually, step by step, the bondage will put this person and this person is lost. That is why don't give in to the desires. This is very important information Krishna is giving here. So one who sees Paramartha or the Supreme Being, Paramartha Supreme Being is Ātman only for Śaṅkarācārya. Sarva karmani manasa sannyasyāste sukham vashi nava-dvāre pure dehi naiva kurvanne nakarayanne. This this particular verse is a little bit complicated. So before we get deeper into this verse, I want to stop here and ask if you have any questions so far.
Can we go, can we have a little more details about the devotion to knowledge?
That will be developed by Śaṅkarācārya eventually. The devotion is jñāna-niṣṭhā, right?
Yes, jñāna-niṣṭhā.
And let me just go back here for a few. The steps are this: sattva-śuddhi, jnana-prapti. This initial jnana-prapti is understanding that self is different, understanding that self is not acting, understanding that self is not caught up in the actions between senses and sense objects, between intellect and the thoughts due to intellect, or anything related to body. So the understanding Ātman is not related to movement or activity of any kind. All these things are the initial knowledge. Sarva karma sannyasa, that person will automatically say, how can I have, if Ātman is this, that is myself. Ātman is myself. So how can I be attached to children, family, wealth? I have to give up all actions. Here, karma-sannyāsa is not exactly giving up all actions. The yogi or the sage gives up only vihita karmas. Vihita karmas are prescribed actions in the shastras, which are like nitya karma, nitya naimitika karma, and other such actions, right? And nishiddha karmas, that person should stay away from wrong actions. These kind of actions, or the person will automatically do. Not that he will not go, oh, somebody told me that I should not do actions. Not like that. The person gives up naturally all the prescribed actions, but still that person will be living, eating, walking, sleeping, but he will not feel that he is eating, walking, sleeping like the rest of the people. He will see that his self is unmoved and his walking, sleeping and all is happening because he is associated with the body due to Prārabdha-karma. And the Prārabdha-karma is automatically taking actions in this life. And that person is not involved. While the body is, mind and intellect is acting, this person thinks that I am sitting inside this body without any actions. I am not acting. All this are happening around me, including my mind, my senses, my intelligence, and all the body and the body-related external things. So the person thinks that he is untouched, not acting. So there, that person, he gets jñāna-niṣṭhā. At that time, the jnana arises from within, because jnana is there everywhere. Atma-jnana is there everywhere, and it raises. And we will understand the details only in the rest of the Gita. We cannot go directly deep. We still have to explain the rest of the Gita to go deeper into jnana-niṣṭhā here. Okay.
So devotion to knowledge here means jnana-niṣṭhā, is it?
Devotion to knowledge, roughly. What is jnana-niṣṭhā will be explained later somewhere. I will see, while doing the overview, I explained somewhere where jnana-niṣṭhā is explained, is dealt deeper in the Bhāṣya. I'm not remembering it right away.
Also, does it here means just karma yoga leading to jnana? Renunciation of all action, it means here, in the second paragraph.
The renunciation of all actions occur. Sarva karma-sannyāsa happens only after a little bit of jnana, right?
Yeah. Does it mean karma yoga here?
Karma yoga is for Citta-śuddhi. Karma yoga is done for Citta-śuddhi. Then that person gets some jnana. Jnana prapti he gets. Then he realizes that Ātman is separate, Anatman is separate. And then he gives up all actions because I am Ātman. That is my Ātman. Then jnana-niṣṭhā occurs. There is focus on jnana, and being inside jnana, being replete with jnana automatically happens. Do you understand?
Does it mean that sometime back you told about the second chapter shloka, like thinking about the sense object, we develop a desire and then eventually we will fall down. Does this happen even at that state if he is not devoted to knowledge?
See, what do you call? I see again here. How does he stay without being affected? He may be affected, but he will come back and say, no, that is not. This is not. Whatever is wrong is not related to Ātman. He will start understanding it. See, there is some here. There is a question of whether there is a help of some third party here, right? Is that what you're meaning?
No, what I'm trying to tell is because the question is what happens supposing if he's not devoted to knowledge. That's the thing. So whatever you told in this,
if he is not devoted to knowledge, he will fall back. See, then his jnana prapti is not correct, right? If he gets jnana prapti, that means Atma is Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta, Atma is Achala, Avikārya, Nishkriya. All that jnana should occur right here due to Citta-śuddhi. And if it happens, automatically sarva karma sannyasa happens. That will become vidvat sannyasa, not just vividisha sannyasa. It becomes vidvat sannyasa. So in this whole process, vedana, vividisha, everything is occurring.
I think Swami says, what if he's not devoted? Probably it's given in the third paragraph here. He'll be firmly bound.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
It will be firmly bound. Kama prerita. The person who is kama prerita will be firmly bound.
Swami? Swami?
Shalanga.
At this stage, the Sanchita karma gets burnt up.
Sanchita has to be burnt up because Prārabdha is remaining. Prārabdha is only that karma which is necessary to start this particular life. So Prārabdha-karma still exists, but Sanchita has to be gone.
So from this stage onwards, what all he does will be under Prārabdha-karma.
Prārabdha-karma only. So that is, he is not doing anything. He is not doing anything. He is not accruing more karmas. But his body is moving similar to how a flywheel. Once you turn on the motor, the flywheel goes at high speed. But once you shut off the motor, stop the electricity, disconnect the electricity, but still the flywheel is moving due to past momentum. Similarly, due to the effect of past karma, the person will be working. So due to Prārabdha-karma, the person will be working. But there is no force behind it. There is no intent behind these karmas. The karmas are happening, this person is just watching. So even though he is acting, he doesn't think that there is action. Okay? Understood?
Yes, Swami. Thank you, Swami.
Okay. Then we will go further. Okay. This particular shloka, sarva karmani manasa sannyasyāste sukham vashi nava-dvāre pure dehi naiva kurvan nakarayan. Sarva karmani manasa sannyasyāste. Mentally, the person gives up all actions. Aste sukham vashi. The person stays with peace, happy. Where does he sit? Where does he reside? He resides in the city of 9 gates, which is the body. Nava-dvāre pure dehi. The deha or body has 9 orifices, and he stays in this body. Naiva kurvan nakarayan, not doing anything or not making things happen. So this is what is the meaning of this verse. Renouncing all actions by thought and self-controlled, the embodied one, dehi, here the dehi is embodied one. Embodied one rests happily in the 9-gated city, neither at all acting nor causing to act. So he is just constant nishkriya. He is sitting inside the body though. And this is a paramarthadarshi. He is a jnani, but he is sitting in the body without acting or making anything to act. Okay, this is the Śaṅkara-bhāṣya in simple. We will go to details. So Śaṅkarācārya says, actions are either the obligatory duties or nitya karmani, or those arising on the occurrence of some special events, naimittika karmani, like if there is a grahana. Grahana means eclipse. So during eclipse, it says you have to do tarpana, or you have to do this kind of stuff during before grahana or after grahana. These are all naimittika karmani, or those intended for securing some special ends, which are only optional, that they are kamya karmani. So putra kamo yajeta, it says that is a person who wants to have a good kid should do a yajna or something like that. These are optional, but they are kamya karmas. Or those that are forbidden is pratishidha karmani. You should not do this at all, right? So these are the set of actions. Okay, one who has subdued the senses, won over the senses, renounces all actions. The actions may be in speech, thought, and deed, by discrimination, by seeing inaction in action, by knowing that Ātman is not acting. Truth is Ātman, and Ātman is not acting. And the person rests happily even though the body, mind, intellect may be acting, the senses may be acting. One rests happily because one has given up all action in speech, thought, and deed. Because one is without worry. Because one's mind is calm. Because accepting the self, all interests foreign to the self have departed from his mind. That means the person is interested only in the self, and anything foreign to the self have departed from his mind. This is a very powerful situation here. To whom does hunger belong? Anybody? Who is hungry? Do you understand my question?
Body.
Yes. Hunger belongs to the body, not Jīvātma or not Ātma. So this is the case whether you are following Śaṅkara-bhāṣya or whether you are following some other bhāṣya. We have to understand the truth here. Śaṅkara-bhāṣya does not, give much value to Jīvātma. That's fine. But here, the jnani is also a Jīvātma for Śaṅkarācārya. This is very important to understand. But the person Jīvātma is, jnani is associated with Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva is a good purified mind. So in this level, Śaṅkarācārya accepts a Jīvātma here. This becomes even more, we have to think carefully what Śaṅkarācārya is trying to say. he rests happily. Who is the person who rests happily? He has to be a Jīvātma. But that Jīvātma is a they feel that there is a Jīvātma there at that time. And that is relatively real and definitely real. And eventually that also goes away. That's a later story. Okay? But now, one rests happily because one has given up all action and speech. The thing, action does not belong to me as myself. So that person has realized that. And just like the person we talked about earlier, that if there is a mirage, I will not go again look for water in the mirage because I know. Similarly, this person says that all these actions are happening to my mind and it's external things, external to me, foreign to myself. And that is why the person is never perturbed about any activity outside this. Where and how does he rest? In the body, which has 9 openings. As having these 9 openings, the body is said to be a 9-gated city. It is like a city with the self for its monarch. Ātman is its monarch, or the king of the city, inhabited by citizens of the senses, mind, intellect, as well as their objects. So all these things are in the body, all working for the sole benefit of their Lord and producing consciousness of various objects. So in this body, everything is working. What are we getting out of it? We are conscious of various things. We are aware of various things. In such a 9-gated city, the embodied one rests, having renounced all action. The person gives up all action. This is how it is. Right? Next, Śaṅkarācārya himself uses an objection.
Swami, can I ask a question?
Chalo.
If the monarch of the 9-gated city has renounced all the actions, who protects that city?
See, there is a Ishvara which is protecting everything, every city. There is this Maya which is taking care of it, right? Maya, Ishvara, they're all acting on all this thing. Who protects the city? It is constantly is given to us. This creation of this universe was done by Narayana. And that Narayana is taking care of everything. And that is acceptable to Śaṅkarācārya. So who is Ishvara? He is the combined karmas and vasanas of everybody put together. That's Ishvara for Śaṅkarācārya. And so the person is managing everything. So there is a Ishvara who creates.
Swami.
Yes.
Swami. But in Tattvavit, if you read, what there Śaṅkarācārya says is each sense organ is presided by a particular deity, like eyes, Chakshu is Surya, ears.
That's also correct.
Mind is moon. So those deities are presiding there and are controlling, he says. Then.
But the thing is, all these deities are eventually controlled by self. Self is Ātman. That is acceptable to Śaṅkarācārya. See, till you get Paramartha Darshana, that means total true realization, all the Bhedas occur, all the differences are true. The deities, the body, mind, senses, all these things are happening. Jīvātma is there. Till the total Paramartha Darshana occurs, that is complete realization occurs, everything is as real as it can be. There is no difference in that reality. Relative reality is powerful, and we need to understand it in Śaṅkara-bhāṣya.
One more thing that can be added is, even though, let us say, he's not in the state of differentiating himself from the 9 gates, that city having 9 gates, even in that state also somebody has to be controller, right? There also it is Ishvara.
Yes, true.
Either way it is the same thing.
Either way the same thing. There is an Ishvara controlling everything.
Yeah, one more thing is, when this particular shloka also actually is equivalent to that Sthita-prajna shloka, right? Is in the second chapter. Prajahati yada kaman. Because there also it says Atmanyeva Atmana Pashyan. Seeing the Atman, he is happy with himself.
Correct. That is true. So there is who is the seer and who is the Atman there, right? That is where the question comes. The seer is the jnani, and Atman is that. There's a slight difference between jnani and Atman at a particular, or in all these cases. Okay, let's go further. So where does he rest? Inside the body. And all working for the sole benefit of their Lord and producing consciousness of here the Lord is self itself. Self is Atman here, right? The self is Atman. It is not the Jīvātma. It is Atman itself. Next, the objection. Why do you say this is for a sannyasi? He rests in the body. Everyone, he be a sannyasi or not, rests in the body. See, the Paramartha-darshi, he says. Śaṅkarācārya, when he says, but this Paramartha-darshi, for him, he gives up all actions and happily resides in the body peacefully and all those things without doing anything. But why does he say Paramartha-darshi? Everybody is like this, right? Everybody is sitting in this body. I, me, you, everybody. So why do you say sannyasi here? Śaṅkarācārya, they're questioning. And that question is raised by Śaṅkarācārya himself to clarify. So the qualification sannyasi is meaningless here. Take it out. That's what objection is saying. Answer to that Śaṅkarācārya gives is, he that is ignorant identifies himself with the mere aggregate of the body and senses. See, inside the body, I have body, senses, mind, everything like that. And I think that I am this. And I think that I rest in a house. Oh, I am inside this home. Don't come near me. I want, I want security cameras. I want the doors to be closed properly. So because I am identifying with not with me as a truly, but with my whole body and intellect and mind and everything. So I rest on the ground. I say, I am sitting in the seat. Don't come near me. All these things. Or because I have already misunderstood my true self with my body, mind, intellect. I'm confused. Such a person regarding the mere body as himself, he thinks the body is myself, cannot indeed cherish the idea that one rests in the body as in a house. So he cannot think that I am a separate thing in my body, because he thinks that he is the body. I am fat, I am dark, I am thin. The person constantly associates himself with the body, with the body. So he cannot live inside the body. He is the body. But he is sitting on a chair or a sofa or in a good nice house or in a hut. So he only thinks the external things, environment is a place where he, which is the body, is sitting. But in the case of a person who regards the self as distinct from the aggregate of the body, the self is not the aggregate. Body, mind, intellect is separate. Self is separate. If that person has this knowledge, then the idea of one rests inside the body, which is nine-gated, this is possible for this, because he knows that self is different from the body. So he is sitting in the body. That is okay. So for an ignorant person, he cannot say he is inside the body. Ignorant person thinks that he is the body. So that is why Paramartha-darshi was used as an adjective there, as an attribute there. Now, and it is also said that such a person should renounce by thought. That jnani should by thought, he should renounce, saying that by knowledge, by discriminative wisdom, action attributed to self through ignorance. So the thing is, he's given up. Oh, all these actions we are talking about, mind, intellect, and all, I'm walking, I'm talking. This is not for the self. It is for the mind, body, intellect. So actions pertain to something which is not self. Actions pertain to not self, not self, right? Though a man has attained discriminative wisdom, has realized his true self as distinguished from the non-self or not self, and has renounced all concern with action, still it may be said that he rests in the nine-gated body of the body, nine-gated city of the body, as in a house. If one says that he has no connections with actions, and the person knows that he is different from body, mind, intellect, why should you say he is sitting inside the body? Body is of no connect to this person because he's gone beyond everything. Why should Krishna say he is sitting in the nine-gated body? Because he has personal consciousness of resting arises only with reference to a body. Oh, I am here inside the body. Only with reference to the body we can understand it. Because there is traces of unspent portion of the Prārabdha-karma. Because this Prārabdha-karma is connecting us to this body. The karma which brought the present body into existence is Prārabdha-karma, and it's still continuing to be felt that, oh, because of the Prārabdha-karma, I still exist in the body. Thus the qualification, he rests in the body, has a meaning as pointing to a distinction between respective standpoints of the wise and the ignorant. So ignorant thinks that he is the body. The wise think that he rests inside the body. So this is the two different perspectives. Objection. Śaṅkarācārya raises, it is true that he renounces the actions of the body and of the senses attributed falsely to the self through ignorance. So this is true, that the person renounces the actions of the body and senses. Still, the power of acting, that is kartritva, agency, and the causing to act or to make other things to happen, this kind of power could be inherent in him, the self. And what you call as self could still have kartritva, bhoktatva, jñātritva, and also guiding other things to happen or pushing other things to work for him. Why not? Even though, and may remain in him who has renounced all actions. He might have given up all actions. But the thing is, the agency, the power of agency, kartritva, jñātritva, bhoktatva may not be gone for that person. Why not? Is the objection. Śaṅkarācārya quotes the Krishna's words there, naiva kurvanna kārayan. He neither acts himself, nor causes the body and senses to act. So, he cannot have kartritva. Kartritva, jñātritva, bhoktatva is not for the self. That is very clear. That's what Śaṅkarācārya says. And even Lord Krishna emphasizes that, saying that neither he acts himself nor causes the body and the senses to act. Hence, inherently, self cannot have the agency or kartritva or karayitritva. That means that to make other things to act. Objection again. Do you mean that the power of acting and causing to act is inherent in the self and that it ceases by renunciation, like the motion of a moving person? Or suppose somebody is moving. Oh, stop, the person stops. Then because he makes up his mind to stop, he stops. Is that how the power of kartritva and the agency and the power of acting and power of causing to act will go away from self? Or the power is not inherent in the self? That means power is definitely, is it power inherent in the self or not inherent in the self? This is the question. Okay, kartatva, jñātritva, bhoktatva may be temporarily gone by renunciation, but it still is the power still exists there because that's the nature of the self. See, the nature of the self will not go away. You can put a dam and contain the water, using a dam. So the water does not flow anymore because it is contained as if in a tank. And somehow the dam breaks and the water flows because the fluidity, nature of fluidity is inherent in water. Water is a fluid, it will flow. So similarly, does self has an inherent kartatva bhoktatva is the question. The power of acting or causing to act is not inherent in the self, for the Lord has taught that self is unchangeable. Asti Ātmanaha swataha. Śaṅkarācārya says, Atra uchate na asti Ātmanaha swataha kartritvam kārayitritvam cha. Naturally, the self cannot act or make anything else act. Nayam hantina hanyate. It doesn't kill or can be killed. Uktam hi avikāryoya mukhyate. It is Avikārya. It does not transform in any way. Sharirasthopi nakaroti nalipyate. That is, even though the Ātman is inside, that Ātman does not act or does not get tainted. The Ātman is unconnected. Iti dhyayati va le layati va iti shrutehe. This is in Brihadaranyaka. Śaṅkarācārya likes this Shruti very much. It thinks as it were and moves as it were. Actually doesn't move. So looking at all these statements, we can clearly say self has no action, nor the capability of action, nor anything inherent related to action inside self. So with this
question here.
Uh-huh.
Is there a small amount of free will at all in Jīvātma?
This is a
Swami,
question.
I have another question to add on to the previous question that has just been asked. Who is the self here? Who is Ātman here?
Here, the self is the one Ātman which is present in everybody. That's what the self is here.
Is that Jīvātma or Paramatma?
It is not Jīvātma. It is Paramatma. It is one Ātman for Śaṅkarācārya here.
Okay, in that context, then I can't ask the question there is a free will or not. But in the earlier one, yes. In the earlier one, you said the jnani is in a way like Jīvātma is acceptable.
See, one thing I tell you, for the jnani, there should be free will, right? Because he is still free will, probably for not, because he is only under the action of the already set in motion Prārabdha-karma. So he is not acting, he is not doing anything, everything is happening. There is as if there is no free will there. But for a baddha or a bound person, there is free will. Again, free will is more complicated. You cannot contain this in this conversation.
Yeah.
From some other perspective, KSV and I had a lot of discussions on free will, and it's too complicated. For general things, for human beings, we can say there is free will. It's easy to understand this particular. Have this in your mind. There are things in the world will change, whether you work or not. There are things. There are events in the world which will happen, whether you put your effort or not. Those events will happen. There are events in this world will never happen in spite of all the efforts you or anybody will put. There is a third category. There are events in this universe which will happen only when you put your effort. See, the third category is important. That's what makes free will possible. And that is a generic rule for all beings. We can just say there is free will. As long as we are asking the question whether there is free will or not, we are in the state where we are all ignorant in a way. And for us, there is free will. And again, Śaṅkarācārya's view of free will Ramanujacharya's view of free will, Madhvacharya's view of free will, that's very complicated. And I don't know how to discriminate between these three views. That's going to take some time to do some research on it.
Thank you, Aryan. Perhaps we can take it another time.
Some
I
other
would
time, yeah, some other time. We'll think of free will as a separate class. And I think we have talked about it long time back in the Gita class itself. You can look into my older lectures. Is there free will? Free will and destiny, I have definitely said something about it. Okay, take a look at it. In fact, I know in the Excel sheet, I know there is a specific item, free will and destiny, is mentioned in the Excel sheet. If you go into the master sheet of the Gita class, you can find an Excel sheet where there is a table of contents. In that specifically says in this lecture, we have talked about free will and destiny. Please look at it.
Yeah.
And if you have doubts, we can look at it again. Okay. Any other questions? Because 14, the next shloka is nakartritvam nakarmani lokasya srijati prabhu nakarma phala samyogam swabhavastu pravartate. This is hard, and thing is, we will take it up next time. Okay. Can we stop the class today? Any questions? Last minute? I guess none. Okay. Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Hayavadana Parabrahmane Namaha, Sarvam